Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm ready for the sunshine. It's supposed to be really hot this weekend, but it's not here yet. The sun is not shining outside my window yet. But West Ham are shining bright in what is a dark time, and that is what I'm here to discuss as they confirm their financial commitments in a statement last night. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah, I've lost the shades now. A little bit of fun for you. Cheer you up, perhaps, on this Saturday. West Ham last night, Friday night, confirmed their financial commitments on their website. Now, we sort of knew this was coming. We've been given it all. We've been spoon-fed what is going to be happening at West Ham in terms of money, in terms of wages. But last night, they confirmed it in an official statement on their website. And I have to say, I feel like West Ham are sort of leading the way. In terms of Premier League clubs, a lot of them have had bad publicity. They've made incorrect decisions, or perhaps it's the correct ones financially, but incorrect morally. And I think West Ham have done the right thing continuously for the last, month or something, since football stopped, essentially. Everything they've done has been bang on, in my opinion, and they deserve a lot of credit for it. There is a lot of people that poo-poo it a little bit, but I'll get on to that. Let's go through the statement. I'm not going to read it out. There's bullet points. Bullet points in a statement mean they're the important bits, so we're going to go through the bullet points. And the first bit was that the first team are deferring a certain percent of their wages. Now, they don't say what percent it is, and I think this is good. This would insinuate to me that all players are different, and I think that's the right thing to do, because every player's situation is different. They're all paid differently as well. Ngakia, for example, might only be on, £1,500 a week or something. So it's going to be tougher for him than it is for someone else. But they've deferred it. This benefits the club a little bit more in terms of cash flow. It's not quite a donation, is it? It's not a wage reduction. However, as I touched on last week, which split opinions a little bit, I was sort of defending the players in regards to what they do with their wages quite often, and I'm not going to change my opinion on that, and I'm not going to go into that again, but this is a wage deferral, so they will still get their wages eventually. It just helps to maintain the cash flow at West Ham in the short term, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of players taking a wage reduction. We just don't know about it, because if let's just say 10 of our first team turn around to West Ham and say, forget the deferment, forget 30% deferring wages, I'll take a 30% reduction. All of a sudden, our mindset is, what 10 players have done that? Who has done that? We then start guessing. Noble and Snodgrass is probably the first two we'd all write down. We'd say those two have definitely taken one. We'd probably then put Declan Rice in his third. Then you start thinking, who's the other 7 then? Then your opinion of those that are not in the 10 starts to change a little bit. You start thinking, well, why are you not putting money in? So I think to protect the players and just put a blanket deferral wages on it, and if people are reducing their wages behind closed doors, great. Because I think it would be unfair to start the guessing game a little bit, because we could wrongly assume quite often as well, and there would be pressure. Journalists would then turn into hungry people to find out who these players are, trying to expose them. Could you imagine being the story if you were to be able to confirm that a Premier League footballer on £70,000 a week is refusing to give any of his wages up? That's a big story, isn't it? So I'm glad that we're doing this. We're protecting the players. I mean, maybe none of them are taking a reduction, but I find that difficult to believe, in all honesty, especially with the handful I've mentioned. I find it difficult to believe that they aren't wanting to reduce their wages. And then it goes on to say that David Gold, David Sullivan, and other shareholders will be injecting 30 million. Now, we know this. We've done a cup of tea on Wednesday discussing the rights issue, where the current shareholders are being given the opportunity to purchase more shares to the tune of the sum of, well, the aim is to get the sum of 30 million. It could be more. They could invest more than 30 million. And should the current shareholders not take up that option, it then can be offered out with. But I do think, I'm quite confident between Sullivan, Gold and Tripp that the 30 million will be there. Now, me and Gonzo looked at this differently on Wednesday. Gonzo was certain it was going to be Sullivan and Gold. I thought it would be Tripp. I've read the Guardian article since again, and Jacob Steinberg in it, he was the one that broke this story, and he in it says that David Sullivan has pretty much confirmed he's going to be putting money in, but it does, the way it's written doesn't sound like Sullivan's putting the whole 30 million in. So there's going to be someone else. I still think it will be Tripp, because he's now a big player at the table. He's got 10% of the club. And once you've got that much, you don't really want to go under 10%, do you? You want to maintain your percentage. If anything, you want to increase it. He's got a decent bit of money. I'm sure his wealth has been battered a little bit because he's involved in investments and stuff. So but he's a very rich man, and he knows a lot of other rich people as well. So if the 30 million within the current shareholder setup wasn't to be fulfilled, I wouldn't be surprised if Tripp knew someone that would be able to come to the table with their money and get involved. And we know Sullivan Gold have always been open to investment as well. They've always publicly said, if anyone's out there with a load of money and wants to invest in the club, please come forward and let's have a chat. And Tripp's one of those people, I suppose. So 30 million will be injected. It's good, it's important, it's an interest-free way of doing it, I suppose, because I was a bit confused as to why they wouldn't be doing it as a loan, why Sullivan and Gold wouldn't put the money in as a loan. I guess what they're maybe hoping is that the money, because if you put 30 million in, you get 30 million back. They're not going to put interest on this loan. That would be a bit naughty in the current circumstances. But I guess what they're thinking is, we put 30 million in terms of shares. Somewhere down the line, that 30 million is going to be worth a little bit more eventually. That the value of the club's going to go up. And I guess in the current climate, I can see why they're perhaps taking that gamble. They'll know what the market value of the football club is at the minute, and it's probably gone down in the current situation. Then it says that the interest is deferred as well. We know that Sullivan and Gold still have £45 million of loans owed to them, which they're generating interest of between 3 and 4% on. So they've deferred that interest for a short period of time, which is the right thing to do. I think it would have been... You can do all these good things, but all it takes is for one bad thing to completely overrule the rest of it. And if all these players were taking deferrals and the people were taking a wage reduction, which I'm going to speak about in a second, but yet Sullivan and Gold were still taking 3% on their interest on the loans to the club, it's a little bit... I mean, they're entitled to it, obviously. I couldn't really complain too much, but it would just leave a sour taste in the mouth, and what is good deeds all around. There'd be someone who's could be helping a little bit more, I guess. So they deferred their interest, so that's good as well. Happy days. The club are now saving 3-4% for a few months. It is deferred, so they will get it back, I assume, eventually, but... Happy days so far. Then it goes on to say that David Moyes, Callum Brady and Chief Financial Officer, which is Andy Mollett, have all taken a 30% reduction. Now, here's a change of words. It's not deferring. They're not deferring their wages. They're taking a reduction. So the club are saving 30% on the wages of these. It's a little bit of a funny one, because David Moyes will have a set salary, won't he? He'll also be heavily bonus incentives as well, because we believe he's got a nice £2 million bonus for keeping us up. So that's going to be a bit of a tricky thing for them to sort behind closed doors. But Karen's obviously on some sort of commission as well, because her wages go up and down every single year. It's always, between, 800,000, and the most she's had is just over 1 million, which I think was in the first year at the London Stadium. She only had it the once. So her basic wage, I don't know how it's done. None of us will know until we see the contract. But she's taken a 30% reduction, and that deserves to be praised as well, I think. You've got to praise them all here. Every single one of those three people. Andy Mollett, who, it's not a name I'm overly familiar with. He's on the board. If you look up the financial statements from West Ham, he's named as on the board as other people like Tara Warden, and he's taken a 30% reduction as well. So that's good. Fair play. It's all positive so far, and it continues to be positive. Thursday night, the employees of West Ham, the non-playing staff, the ones that could have been furloughed but aren't being furloughed, they're being paid 100% of their wages, and this is all to help maintain that. But they got an email, all the employees got an email on Thursday night, which we got sent to us from someone that works at the club. And it's a good email to receive. It's reassuring, just confirms they're going to be getting 100% of their salary. It's going to be based on last year's pro rata, or they're going to be working out for this year's. The employees don't have to do anything. Could be getting paid, nothing to worry about. It's a very reassuring. And I said to the person, I said, wait, I take it you're happy to receive that? And they said, well, yeah, I wasn't really expecting anything. So to get that's reassuring. It's a nice touch from the club. and it's injecting a bit of pride in the workplace. They're now prouder to work for West Ham than they perhaps were 2 months ago. They can say, well, I'm getting 100% of my wages. My job is safe for now anyway. There's other people struggling. And it's something to be proud of. I'm taking pride reading all this stuff and talking about it because I think they're going about it the right way. And then to come away from this statement now, we know the Premier League, all the players on their social media put out about how they've come together, players together, come together, and they're going to be making financial contributions. And the word on the grapevine, if you like, is that Mark Noble's a big player in this. The 4 captains that seem to be leading the way is Troy Deeney, Harry Maguire, Jordan Henderson, and Mark Noble. So 4 English captains in the Premier League are very much picking up the baton and running with it, and really trying to raise a bit of money for good causes. And it is something I am proud of hearing, that our captain is very much at the forefront of this. And when you think about how many footballers are in the Premier League, I don't know, 450 maybe, I guess, 450 footballers in the Premier League, and our captain's one of the 4 that are leading by example here. And it's not just with what he's doing with his squad. We've seen him donate money to Basildon community this week as well. I've seen a couple of journalists come out and say that they know of other charities that Mark Noble in particular continues to donate to and has done for a long time. So it's good. And Robert Snodgrass is someone else. He's pulled up Hancock, the politician. He's pulled him up on Twitter the other day. Basically, Hancock put out the same statement all the players were putting out. It was one statement every player was putting out on their social media, and Hancock put out as well. And Snodgrass quoted him and basically said, "Hang on a minute, are you going to back off now?" Now, someone replied to, a few people replied to Snodgrass and said, "Well, I think you've got this one wrong, Robert," because he was asked a question by the media, and all he was doing was replying, and he's had this backlash. So Robert since then replied to that one of those people saying, "No, I've not got it wrong actually," because he's been on our case, and here he is trying to almost take credit for it, take credit for the players doing something when the players were already planning something. And it's good to see. I like this. I don't want to see it turn into a politics of, oh, I'm better than you, I'm donating more money, but we do need a bit of pride, if you like, and you can tell Robert's one of those people. He's donated, John Terry's raising money at the minute. Robert Snodgrass has donated $2,500 to that as well. There's an article. There's an article. I'm going to put it in the link in the description. I'm going to have to go find it first. It's not there as I'm doing this live, but if you're watching this on playback, I will put the link there. Someone wrote a book about money in football, and it was like, can I have my game back? And he claimed a Premier League player got in touch with him to speak about money, speak about the cash, and he's got this interview that he's done with someone, and it's basically a Premier League player saying that he doesn't really take a wage anymore. He takes his wages and gives it all away because he's got his big house, he's got his nice car, he's got millions in the bank. He's at the end of his career now, he's at the latter stages of his career, and he's basically saying that if footballers really wanted to make a difference now, they could all give up their wages. They're all rich enough. And there's a lot of people think it could be Snodgrass, it could be Mark Noble, and Leighton Baines is the other one. They're the 3. There's another player I think it could be, and that's Ben Foster, the Watford keeper. I think he's brilliant with what he does as well. But it's an interesting read if you want to read it. So I'm just going to start wrapping this up now, because I do think West Ham have led the way on this. I think they've been absolutely fantastic. I'm proud of what we've been doing in this, because it's a difficult time. At some point, the club would have sat down and looked at how much it's going to cost them to not furlough their staff. They would have looked at how much they would have saved and said, right, if we furlough our staff, this is how much money we're going to get from the government. And that's what's going to cost us, essentially, to keep all this staff on 100% wages, and all the money is coming out of our club. There's other clubs that have done the same as well, Southampton. But the thing I've noticed with Southampton is they put not deadline on it, they've put a review date of June on theirs, which I think is perfectly realistic, because eventually, if this was to continue on and on and on, eventually West Ham would start to panic a little bit. But they need to get praise and credit for the way they're going at the minute. We've saw what Liverpool have done. Liverpool put their staff in furlough and said, oh, we'll top it up the extra 20%, so our staff's getting 100% wages, as if that made it okay that they were taking money out of the pot. Now, they've reversed it, and I think they deserve some credit for reversing the decision. But let's not forget that this original decision of furloughing the staff was not a knee-jerk thing. They didn't just wake up and think, oh, okay, we'll furlough. No, they would have sat down, they would have done their sums, and they would have calculated how much money they would have saved by putting their staff into furlough, and they decided to do it. They decided to save that money, but what they've miscalculated is the PR backlash. And I'm pretty insistent, I don't think you won't change my mind on this. Liverpool made a commercial decision here, which is to reverse it. And Spurs have obviously continued to keep their staff in furlough, as have Newcastle, and there'll be other Premier League clubs that will follow suit eventually. I think a lot of them will endeavour to not use the furlough option, but as time goes by, if this goes on for another month or another 2 months, I think they're also going to think, oh, we're maybe going to have to do something here. You know, Burnley have said, come August, we're going to go to the wall. Will it be that drastic? I'm unsure, but you can understand why clubs would get pressured. But what this does for me, this allows West Ham, when the transfer window opens, to spend money sort of morally free. Could you imagine if the transfer window opened in 2 months and Spurs went and spent 40 million on a midfielder? We would all and rightly sit there and look at them and think, really? You're going to take money out of the government's pot? You're going to watch people struggling, but yet you're going to go splash millions on a player? Whereas West Ham have gone about it the right way. They've continued to pay their staff 100%, regardless of whether at work or not. They've made cuts within the club. People at the club have made sacrifices. Then if we go buy a player, I don't think you can have too much complaints about it. For sure, there will be a backlash of, oh, that money could have gone to better causes and stuff. But we're almost looking after our own finances, our own future. So when the transfer window opens, I think you've got a bigger moral obligation or a moral allowance, perhaps, than what other clubs do. And I think that is, I don't know, a good thing. It's a safety net. Perhaps you're protecting yourself from a PR backlash in the future, something I don't think Spurs have done whatsoever. They've only set themselves up for more PR backlash and fans turning against them and stuff. And when fans are allowed to go back to games, wherever that may be, I do think Spurs are going to, in Newcastle and any other clubs like that, they are going to feel the brunt of the fans. They are going to get booed, if you like, hated, because I never really had anything against Newcastle. Quite like them, actually. Big club, decent fans. I feel sorry for them. My opinion is somewhat changed a little bit. Not of the fan base, of course, but as Newcastle as a club, I wouldn't mind seeing them struggle anymore. Before, I think, oh, I hope they avoid relegation. I like Newcastle, but now, I don't know. I don't really care anymore. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. Just that I'm proud of West Ham. I think we're leading the way. And anyway, I'm off to see if I can find some sunshine. Hopefully the sun's not too far away. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new around here, and myself and Gonzo, we will catch you later tonight. We've got a video tonight, and tomorrow night we're doing the quiz. You're going to need to be bright for that.